I've arrived almost back at DuPont Circle. I would never assert authority over my mother. Um, we'll just categorize this under a cultural thing pertaining to religion, tradition. Some traditions, a matriarchy may be asserted through a grandmother that moves in with the family member that best can support the grandmother. Or in Hawaii, there's generational homes where the home is added onto, and the family that can afford to do this constructs an addition to a home. And there's just many different ways cultures interact with matriarchies, patriarchies, gender, which don't tell me people are against transgender because the penis of my grandpa Samuel George Kennedy was removed, and some Homeland Security is working actively against transgender because we need to hurt brown people to keep their authority, in reference to military transgender preparedness. That'd be disgusting. But people who stole, they'd bankrupt the world to keep what isn't theirs. So that's the people who's trusted with the jobs that they do, including defense tech, which can really hurt me or kill me, like my family. But my grandma Idabel Borel Verret, for example, who very, very rich genetics pertaining to European legitimate royal status and federal status pertaining to worth, pertaining to AT&T and that entitlement, and then the genetics of my grandmother being extremely valuable, because any arguments about my grandpa Vernon pertaining to my grandma Jackie, when my grandma Jackie died in 2015, right before the legalization of gay marriage, my grandpa Samuel George Kennedy, again, gender, his removed penis, etc. And then that's when my torture began, 20 days before that, legalization of gay marriage. But my grandpa and my grandma died in conjunction with Homeland Security and Secret Service. My grandma Idabel Borel Verret died 2002 when Homeland was formed. My AT&T, that was broken up in 83 when I was born legitimate and federal. 2023, Secret Service moved over in 2003, Secret Service moved over after 2002, the same year my grandma Idabel Borel Verret died. And then 2004, 1 year, symbolically reminiscent of my grandpa Clement in reference to Air Force One, etc. My Boeing, other stocks, which there's an August White, like Wright brothers, black people that surrounded me, stemming from DC, etc., who stole from me. My grandpa Santine Baptiste Verret died 2004, 1 year after. Secret Service moved over to Homeland, etc. And now Homeland surrounded the Pentagon. Every department of the service. Now, the genetic wealth of my grandma in reference to patents pertaining to our very old royal presidential family, which is banking and FBI, Secret Service, etc. The genetic worth, my grandparents Mitlis and my grandma Idabel, most likely billions pertaining to their bodies. and the genetic code in their bone marrow. Billions. I'm not naive to this. Who claimed ownership of that? The blood and the bone marrow that flows through my grandpa Mitlis and my grandma Ida Bell. Who claimed that, and what measures would be taken to assure that me, being the federal legitimate birth that was ignored, doesn't claim right to what was stolen pertaining to my grandma and my grandpa's bodies, including but not limited to my patents and money? How many billions? Would you shut down the parks in D.C., declare a silent state of emergency pertaining to restricted access like COVID-19 just for Dustin Migues? Because I'm being stolen from again by people who can't be trusted with a long track record of how they do business, to validate that statement based on my personal experiences. And these are the people who have access to tech and defense tech that shouldn't know a lot of shit about people that they're targeting pertaining to. I digress. But just my grandma Ida Bell and my grandpa Mitlis alone, the significant value of pontiff genetics, not including the patent value pertaining to their old world genetic value, pertaining to Monsanto and the patent industry in reference to my family blood stolen by and awarded to some in 1970. And then we have the idea of Trump in the White House taking my blood through the DOD, and I'm a legitimate federal birth, but the bone marrow of my grandma Ida Bell and my grandpa Mitlis is my bone marrow. That's my blood. That's my family that I didn't get to communicate with defense technology because that was stolen from us. And our family structure is no different than any family structure today, except we weren't Satanists who, in the cruelest possible way, held on the power that wasn't theirs. We didn't do that. We didn't take what wasn't ours. We were born into what we have. And once again, that's the difference between doing business with someone like me versus some. But how many billions? My grandma Ida Bell alone, her genetics worth, patents, etc. Then the vanity market pertaining to reproduction, how many billions? And stolen DNA, how much is that worth? How much is that worth? And then we get into the patents of AT&T, how much is that worth? The defense tech, how much is that worth? My grandma Ida Bell Borel Verrett alone's probably worth how many billions? Billions. We're talking billions. Like, what? How many billions? 500 billion? How many billions? My grandma Ida Bell alone. And then my grandpa Mitlis Baptiste Verrett, Pontiff, and Old World, and the titles that he brings in, which I don't even know all the titles he brings in, along with being a living, was, which I didn't get to know because that was stolen from our family. But being who my grandpa Mitless was, how many billions is he worth? Including the vanity industry. There's a light-skinned girl that had a little kid with her that looked like he was a mix of genetics, like the people who attacked me. Light-skinned black people. Some stole my family genetics. But plastic surgery, right? That's not covered under insurance. I'm not going to go there. But so my grandpa Ida Bell and my grandma, my grandma Ida Bell and my grandpa Mitless, worth billions. Who claimed that? Donald Trump, Michelle Obama, Duke Zuniga? Are there people fighting over family titles that are mine? And then when they're not beating each other up over authority, files continuing to be built on me to illegitimize my legitimate status based on mental health, etc. And at the end of the day, I'm a homosexual. We could always rest with that, right? Pertaining to severed penises and transgender and being deployed and holding on to brown people power through the cruelest possible ways. My text being utilized against me. So, with that being said, oh, you're getting deployed. Whatever that means. How many billions was stolen to not let me know my grandma and grandpa that's first language was French and national treasures that can't be replaced that was stolen from me, including knowing them through defense tech? They were my family national treasures. My grandma Jackie too. My grandma Jackie's bone marrow, their daughter, is a mixture between the authority and power of both my grandparents Mitless and Ida Bell. How many billions was her bone marrow worth and her skin and her genetics, and she was made to struggle and live in poverty all of her life? And then who reaped the rewards of those finances? But I was their federal legitimate birth after my grandpa Vernon was drafted in, claiming authority to my family genetics through my grandpa Vernon. How many billions was my grandma Jackie worth, the mother of my father? Then my uncle Caven, her firstborn son. And then me. Black people sure did want to kill me after gay Disney, after all those dead gay people. How many billions is mine worth? Because I'm not only my southern family, I'm my northern family also. Keep in mind, we've been forced to live in poverty while people have made billions off of us through treasonous acts. And my defense tech has been ignored, and my defense tech access has not been granted. That's been ignored, and you cuff them? Okay, keep in mind, I can't control the rape that began when I was in my mama's womb, pertaining to defense technology utilized against my mama and then my daddy later. I can't defend myself, but we've been forced to live in poverty. So it's interesting to know that people are fighting over the billions pertaining to patent and genetic worth and historical value and patent law rights and all these rights pertaining to who I am in my family who we are. And I'm being tortured to death, and I have one grandmother left that had defense technology access, and her grandkid got his whole body either drained for the value of the genetics or abducted and slowly tortured to death, like my family, my southern family. So, alright, I'm at Massachusetts and 16th Northwest. I'm gonna go to get some water. Don't think I'll have another Red Bull. And we'll see if I'm fucked with at the next place I'm at. My grandmother Jackie lived in such poverty after what was done to our family. And she was the direct coming together genetically of my grandpa Mitlis and my grandma Ida Bell. How many billions was she worth pertaining to genetics, the vanity market, and patent access, and illegitimate patent access? All right.